Yeah, so the Glacier is 5 miles wide at the very bottom, about 25 miles long, goes up to 9,200 feet.
Alaska's glaciers hold almost unreal beauty, but what's very real is how quickly they're melting.
See, this is all new right here. This iceberg broke off probably about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the crack right under you there is the dam.
So at the toe, this up here in front of us, that's Colony Glacier. So at the toe of Colony Glacier, we have some pretty recent calving and some massive chunks of ice that have fallen off that. So we're gonna go check that out real quick.
Tyler and Brian with Alaska Helicopter Tours guided us over a half dozen glaciers near Anchorage, and the evidence of climate change almost everywhere beneath us and all around as we landed alongside one.
This is one of the places where you can most clearly see evidence of the glaciers melting. This is Lake George, which will of course melt as we get into summer. And then if you look down here, you see these chunks of ice which broke off of Colony Glacier last year. And then even along the edge, you can see how the ice is already separating from Colony Glacier. That's gonna be the part of the glacier that breaks off this summer and possibly ends up in the lake and eventually melting.
What's less visible is the deflation of the glacier. And so we see the margins, that's obvious, and we see it receding or retreating, and that's obvious, but the thinning is less obvious. And that's really where most of the loss is happening.
Brian is a climate scientist with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and here's some quick context. 1 gigaton of melting ice would cover New York's Central Park in water, and that water would be deep enough to submerge the Chrysler Building, and then some. And scientists say the world is currently losing 300 gigatons of ice from glaciers every year. Guess where that ends up?
We are on top of Knik Glacier right now. This body of water behind me is Harvard Arm. That connects to the Gulf of Alaska, which connects to the Pacific Ocean. So one thing to know about the melting of ice from glaciers like this one is that ice melt is contributing about 20% of all sea level rise every year. That's even more than is coming from the melting of ice sheets. So climate change is having a profound impact on glaciers like this and on sea level rise.
That's only the most direct, tangible way. Indirectly, or less tangibly, it's increasing the incidence of wildfire, it's affecting when we can plant crops and overall agricultural productivity, it's affecting aquifers where millions and millions, maybe billions of people are getting their fresh water.
You get people that see this and they're like, yeah, this is gorgeous, but this is just natural, nothing. Climate change isn't real. I mean, you get people that kind of say that to you when you're up here flying.
I do. I get both sides of it. But no one that I've flown with actually has completely denied, like, oh, it's not warming. But they'll say, well, it's warming, but, the reason for it warming is the debate for those people. So actually, yeah, I haven't had anybody just completely flat out deny it just yet.
Well, I mean, we're seeing evidence of ice breaking off and melting, right? So it's hard to argue with what you're seeing.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's why. Maybe they were deniers, so then they saw this and they're like, hey, maybe there's something to it.
Well, there are certainly natural cycles, but when we talk about natural glacial cycles, we're talking thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. Here and in other places, we go back every year and we whoa, that has changed dramatically since last year. My kids who are teenagers, they talk about what it used to be like here. I mean, so the changes aren't occurring on natural, geologic or even subgeologic scales. They're occurring at yearly and decadal scales. And those aren't natural cycles. Those cannot be explained by any natural variability in the climate system at all.
Recent research shows Alaska is the place experiencing more glacial loss than anywhere else in the world. And that can bring a somber appreciation for this place.
This is so beautiful, but it's also just so sad to see this. You can read about it and look at pictures of it. But standing here and seeing how the ice is breaking off from the glacier and may never return.